Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about the Orioles and Guardians Game 4. This was the final game of this 4-game series, and also the final game of this 7-game road trip that we've been on ever since we've come out of All-Star break. We're going to be going over that Game 4. The Orioles already lost the series yesterday. They were down 3-0 going into this game. They're on the verge of getting swept, but the Orioles were able to go out there and pull off a very close, very close win over the Guardians. They won that game 4-3. They avoided getting swept, and they stopped the losing streak. So that was good. That's obviously a good thing. They still did lose the series, but at least they avoided the sweep, and they got back on the winning column. We'll talk more about it, in a little bit, talking about kind of what that game means, which it really doesn't mean anything, but it is nice to go out there and get a close win and just to see the Orioles get a win in general. And then today's episode, we're also going to be talking about day 2 of Ravens training camp practice. This was day 2 of the practice. Obviously, training camp started 2 days ago, but it really started yesterday because training camp is all about the practices and being with your teammates around you. And today was day 2 of those practices. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to go over, a lot of quotes said by some people after the practice, and also like a recap of some plays that happened during some 11-on-11 scrimmage practices that happened today. So we've got a lot going on in this episode, so let's just get into this Orioles game. So going over this Orioles game, obviously the Orioles get a big win over the Guardians. I mean, not a big win. I mean, they already lost the series. They were just trying to avoid getting swept, which they do. They do avoid getting swept. They still lose the series 3-1 though. The Orioles win 4-3 in this game. The record moves to 45-57. There's still 12 games below 500, and I'm just going to keep it 100 with you guys. I'm just going to be completely honest with everyone that's listening. This win does not mean anything. I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, that's just where we are right now in the season. Obviously, it's nice to see the Orioles get a win, but with all the countless mistakes and all the losses that they've had leading up to today, the 3 straight losses they had in this series, or 3 straight losses they had in the games in this series. Again, they lost the series 3-1. This was a 4-game series. At minimum, you try and split. The Orioles lost the first 3 games of the series, and they won the 4th game. So it's cool that they got a win, but at the end of the day, this win does not really change anything in terms of how this team should look at the trade deadline and how this team should operate throughout the season. There's still 12 games below 500, and we are literally a week away now from the trade deadline. Actually, a week, like exactly a week away, like on the time and everything too. I think a week and 20 minutes away from the trade deadline. So again, this win doesn't do anything, but it is nice to see the Orioles obviously get a win. Obviously, we're going to root for the Orioles to get wins no matter what, but it doesn't really feel as good as it could, because again, they still lost the series and there's still so many far games below 500 to where this win doesn't really do anything. But again, it is nice to see the Orioles get a win. They win this game 4-3, and I do want to say before we go over this game that there was some news this morning that happened within the Orioles organization, and that was that the Orioles have placed closing pitcher Felix Bautista on the 15-day IL list due to some shoulder inflammation. So that's obviously something you don't want to hear. And it's at the point now where I'm really not even surprised. This team has been so injury-riddled all season. This team and the Astros really are the 2 main ones that have been injury-riddled all season. But the difference between this team and the Astros is that the Astros actually have like a competent organization, so they can continue to win games and still put up a lot of wins and do well, even with all their some of their top guys hurt. For the Orioles, we've just been getting beat down, hurt, injured, and we're still losing games off of it, even when guys come back and even when they're not there. So Felix Bautista obviously is one of the best players on the Orioles team, and he's also one of the most valuable players as well, playing an extremely valuable position as the primary closer of this team. There are some teams in the MLB that don't really have a closer. They have a collection of relievers who sometimes some guys will go out for a save and sometimes will it's just like a cycle of guys going out for saves. It's not really one specific guy, which obviously is not what you want to do when you're a team. You like to have a certified closer on your team, someone you can go to. And the Orioles had that. Obviously, Felix Bautista is one of the best closers in baseball, and obviously he recovered from Tommy John surgery last year, came back this year, had a little bit of a shaky start, but overall he's had such an amazing year for the Orioles, and now he is on the 15-day IL with shoulder inflammation, and potentially, I think they said he's going to get an MRI tomorrow, so this could potentially be a very severe injury and something that we might actually have to sit Felix Bautista for the rest of the season because of. And to be honest with you, if we are really focusing and gearing up towards 2026 already, I think that the smartest thing to do would be to rest Felix for the rest of the season if we're not going to play for anything, which we're not, but, once the organization decides that we're not playing anything, then just rest Felix. I'm not going to lie, I think we should just rest Felix for the rest of the year. Gear up for 2026, make sure he's fully healthy. Is some games probably going to get ugly near the end? Yes. But at the same time, this team isn't playing for anything anyway, so it really won't matter in the long-term scheme of things. But it is pretty sad to see Felix Bautista go. But at the same time, this Orioles team is not playing for anything. So again, it's not like this is some injury that is like gonna super impact our season, because our season's already been impacted enough to where that injury is not really going to change anything. But it does suck because, again, you don't like to see some of your premier players get hurt, especially with shoulder inflammation, which can turn into a whole bunch of different stuff in terms of long-term injuries. So hopefully Felix is okay. Even if it's not hopefully it's not a serious injury, and even if it's not a serious injury, I do think that we should sit him for probably the rest of the season, and just have him make sure he is fully 115% ready to go by the time that we get to next season. Because again, I'm still under the mindset that this team can compete in some way next season and try and win games. They just have to retool this offseason, and they have to just have a good offseason. They have to have an incredible offseason building around their young talent, and then next season we'll see what happens and they can go back to being contenders again. I'm still under the assumption that this is just a bump in the road of this team and their core, and hopefully we can get back on track next season, which would include just making sure Felix Bautista is ready to go for next year, because he is so valuable for this Orioles team. So that was really all that happened in terms of the injury, but it did, potentially come into play later on in this game, because this game was obviously this game was a one-run game going into the bottom of the ninth inning, and I even tweeted out, I was like, if the Orioles lose this game due to blowing the lead in the bottom of the ninth inning and get walked off while their closer just got on IL, that would just be the most Orioles thing ever. Thankfully, Gregory Soto was able to go out there and get the save today. Ramon Urias was able to make an incredible play at third base to end the game. But going over this game in general, the Orioles had 8 total hits, scored 4 runs on those 8 hits, went 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position, left 9 guys on base. Jackson Holiday, leadoff guy, went 0 for 5. Jordan Westberg went 1 for 4 with a run scored. Gunnar Henderson was the difference maker in this game. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI, and that RBI that he drove in ended up being the go-ahead RBI in the 7th inning, and then ended up sealing the deal on the win for the Orioles win. It ended up being the run to win the Orioles the game, thanks to the bullpen closing it out for us. So Gunnar Henderson with a very, very clutch RBI. It was a 2-out RBI single, which was very, very clutch from Gunnar. You'd love to see it from them. Ramon Laureano, and I just want to pause again and just say, I said it in yesterday's episode, but I want to say it one more time today. Ramon Laureano has been excellent this season for the Orioles. Today he goes 1 for 5 with 2 RBIs. He hit a 2-run home run in the first inning. He had 3 home runs in this 4-game series. He's been on fire, and Ramon Laureano is now the new home run leader for the Baltimore Orioles. It's cool. If you would have told me that Ramon Laureano and Jackson Holiday would be the 2 home run leaders on this team at this point in the year, I would have called you insane. But I mean, here we are, Ramon Laureano doing his thing. But one thing that I'm scared about with Ramon is that he is getting significant trade interest. Teams reaching out to the Orioles trying to maybe get a trade. Do I think that the Orioles will trade him? If I had to bet on it, I'd say no. But I do think that if they do get a good enough offer, I do think that a trade could be in the works for Ramon Laureano. Hopefully he doesn't go. He's having an incredible year, and he also has a club option next year as well. So whoever trades for him would be able to have him for a whole nother season, including the rest of this one. So we'll see what happens with Ramon. Hopefully he doesn't get traded, but at the end of the day, who knows what's going to happen with this Orioles lineup within the next week. Tyler O'Neill in this game went 2 for 4 with a run scored. Surprisingly, he actually got a hit, and he actually got 2 hits, which is cool to see from Tyler O'Neill. Hopefully, by some godly fashion, Tyler O'Neill can get back into the season and just be the player that we signed him to be, because he has not been anywhere near that. So hopefully he can just get back into the season and be the player that we got. Ramon Urias in this game went 1 for 4 with an RBI. He also drove in the third run of this game in the first inning, and he also had the game-winning incredible play at third base, thrown it over to Kobe Mayo at first. Incredible ending to the game. That's why I won a Gold Glove. And then Kobe Mayo in this game did get the start at first base. He heard Tony Mancelino heard all of the complaints yesterday about how Kobe Mayo wasn't in the lineup. He was in the lineup today. He was at first base, went 0 for 2. Ryan O'Hearn came in as a pinch hitter. He got on base from a walk. Dylan Carlson went 0 for 3, and then Alex Jackson went 1 for 3 with a run scored. So overall, the offense did its thing. 2 players had multi-hit days, Tyler O'Neill and Gunnar Henderson. A very clutch hit by Gunnar in the 7th inning to get the win, or really have the go-ahead hit in this game. And overall, the Orioles get a very solid win. But the star of this game, in my opinion, really was the pitching. Charlie Morton in this game, he did get credited the win, a very deserved win as well. He got through 6.2 innings of work, giving up 5 hits, 4 walks, and 3 runs. So it was the stat sheet was stuffed for Charlie Morton today. He did give up 9 total base runners, 5 hits, and 4 walks. But he did have 7 strikeouts in the process. He gave up 2 home runs. There were 2 solo home runs from Steven Kwan. So Charlie Morton, again, 6.2 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 walks, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. So a very, stat-stuffed filled sheet for Charlie Morton. But 6.2 innings, only giving up 3 runs. You take that every single day of the week. And also his pitch count was at 107. So he was really working in this game. Charlie Morton, an absolute dog. This could potentially be the last start we see of him as an Oriole. He might get traded. I mean, this start right here is a start that could get some people interested in a potential trade, because he had the strikeouts. He gave up only 3 runs. He had a quality start. He did his thing. Shout out to Charlie Morton. Caleb Martin came in this game. He was perfect in the .1 innings that he pitched. He only actually had 1 pitch in this game, so a pretty easy day for him. Seranthony Dominguez got into a little bit of trouble in his inning that he pitched. He had 25 pitches in that inning, but he ended up getting through it, giving up only 2 hits, no runs, and having 2 strikeouts. And then Gregory Soto came in for the save situation, obviously because we don't have Felix Bautista. Gregory Soto came in for the save situation and got his first save of the season. 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 walks, and then 2 strikeouts in the bottom of the 9th inning. We'll see who's going to potentially be the guy to step up and be the Orioles closer for the rest of the year, because the Orioles don't have a closer now. So is it going to be Gregory Soto? Is it going to be Seranthony Dominguez? We just don't know. We'll see what the Orioles and Tony Mancelino decide to do with that. But overall, a great game for the Baltimore Orioles. Getting a very close win, and we move on to the next series starting tomorrow for this weekend series against the Colorado Rockies. And if y'all don't know, the Colorado Rockies currently have the worst record in baseball by a pretty big margin. The Rockies are 26-76. They are 50 games below 500. I know I complain about the Orioles being 12, 13, 14 games below 500, and I've complained about that all season. But the Colorado Rockies are 50 games below 500. They're coming to Baltimore. The Orioles going back home. And I'm just gonna say it as it is right now. The Orioles should sweep this series. And I'm just gonna be real. The Orioles should sweep this series. Maybe potentially lose one. But all I'm gonna say right now, and I'm just gonna put it out there. If the Orioles lose this series to the Colorado Rockies, if they lose 2 out of 3, or if they get, I don't even want to say that, if they get swept by the Colorado Rockies, if they lose this series, I really don't even know what I would say. But to be honest with you, I don't even really know if I'd be surprised at this point. Obviously, the Orioles have been bad this season, but the Rockies have been a whole new level of bad this year. So hopefully the Orioles can just take care of business against the Rockies. Just do the simple stuff. Get on base, score runs, prevent runs, and do their thing, and just win this series at least. Do not lose this series to the Colorado Rockies. I repeat, I'll say it again. Do not lose this series to the Colorado Rockies. I understand that the Orioles season is over, right? I understand that we're going to probably trade 3 to 4 guys within the next week. I understand that this Orioles team is going to finish last in their division. But from a fan standpoint and from me not wanting to just have the embarrassing feeling of losing to this team, do not lose to the Colorado Rockies. I'm not even going to deep dive into the series because, again, they should just go out there and take care of business. The only Rockies player who's really been great this year is Hunter Goodman, 25-year-old catcher. He's actually had an incredible year for the Rockies. He was their only all-star. He did their thing. He did his thing. But again, just do not lose this series. Again, I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow night talking about the Rockies and Orioles game, where hopefully the Orioles can win and we can move on with that and, be happy that the Orioles win. I don't care who it is that they win against. If they go out there and sweep the Rockies, I'm going to be jumping up and down because, again, it is a sweep at the end of the day. But just do not lose to this team. And before we close out this episode, I did want to talk about the Ravens training camp. I got a couple bookmarks here on Twitter that I kind of wanted to go over some stuff that I saw that seemed pretty interesting. Down here at the bottom, obviously, training camp is about bonding with your teammates and also, getting comfortable with the playbook, getting comfortable with the people around you, and also the big thing is like the 11-on-11s, the 11-on-11 scrimmages that they do either in the red zone or either, just with normal playing. They bring in their own refs and everything like that. And obviously there's the watch parties of people that, can come and actually watch them in person. And they have the real insight. They have the real deal of what's going on. But the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, the NFL team, they had their day two of their practice was today. And I do want to talk about some stuff that I saw that was pretty interesting and some stuff that kind of stood out to me. The first thing that I want to talk about was the first 2 interceptions of the 11-on-11 camps today. Trenton Simpson picked off Lamar Jackson on a pass that hit Isaiah Likely's hands. So it hit Isaiah Likely's hands. He couldn't fully catch it. Bounced out of his hands. Trenton Simpson get a pick. Hopefully Isaiah Likely can come down with everything this season because I do expect him to be the tight end 1 of this team. Mark Andrews is still going to have a role. He's still going to be a guy that you can go to for reliability purposes. But Isaiah Likely is going to be that tight end 1. I've always looked at it as Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Isaiah Likely are the main receiving threats of this team, and then obviously like DeAndre Hopkins, Mark Andrews are kind of like the reliability guys who you can go to if things get sticky. But a pass that hit off Isaiah Likely's hands, Lamar Jackson did throw a pick because of that. Lamar was very angry. He ripped off his helmet in anger, and then also undrafted free agent Ruben Lowry also stepped in front of Anthony Miller on a throw that was intercepted by Devin Leary. So Devin Leary, obviously, he is the QB3 of the Ravens. We don't have to worry too much about that. We're really just kind of focusing on first-team Ravens work. And then some also stuff that happened a few plays earlier. Lamar Jackson hit Rashad Bateman for a 60-yard deep shot. Jackson dropped the ball in between Kyle Hamilton and Nate Wiggins. From things that I was seeing, Lamar Jackson apparently threw a 60-yard dime to Rashad Bateman, and apparently Rashad Bateman cooked Nate Wiggins. Hopefully, and this is the thing, right? This is why like 11-on-11 training camp stuff is so funny, and getting reports, like live reports on what's going on. It's always so funny because you want to be happy for Lamar Jackson obviously throwing a dot to Rashad Bateman. You want to be happy for that. You want to be happy about the accuracy and everything like that. But at the same time, it's like, but you're also at the same time worried, like, okay, Nate Wiggins got cooked. And again, it is just one play. We do expect Nate Wiggins to be part of the future of this team. Obviously, he's going to be learning behind Jair Alexander and Marlon Humphrey, which is, to be honest with you, one of the best, if not the best, cornerback duo in the NFL, and just cornerback rooms in general. He also can learn behind Adobe Chiuzie. But again, Or Chidobe Awuzie. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. But again, you're worried, but at the same time you're happy. So that's why 11-on-11 training camp stuff is always so weird, because you just really don't know what you should be hyped for, what you should be worried about, and stuff like that. And that's how it's always been. Also, Ravens first-round rookie Malachi Starks is having a pretty nice day. He broke up a pass to Charlie Kolar, and then he picked off Lamar Jackson on an overthrow. So, again, it's like the same thing. Like, okay, I'm worried that Lamar Jackson had an overthrow, but I'm happy that Malachi Starks, again, got the breakup pass and also, got an interception today. Because, again, Malachi Starks going to be standing right next to Kyle Hamilton, arguably the greatest... are arguably the best safety duo in the NFL. Kyle Hamilton, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, the best safety in the NFL. Kyle Hamilton, the best player on this defense. We love Kyle Hamilton, obviously, and he's going to teach Malachi Starks well, and they're both also going to feed off of each other. So that's just something else that happened today. Also, DeAndre Hopkins was not at practice today, and people kind of speculated. People were kind of worried about an injury, and John Harbaugh did confirm that there was an injury to DeAndre Hopkins, but he did say that he will be all okay. He said he fell on his knee yesterday and was held out of practice due to an abundance of caution. So, again, you want to be careful with these guys. If there's any sort of little minor injury, you don't want to push them too hard, because you want to make sure everybody is as 100% healthy and ready to go heading into the season. Obviously, it is still early in training camp, and the most worrisome part of training camp is injuries, because you still have to go hard in training camp. Like, you still obviously have to try and do your thing, but at the same time, you have to just be careful with not getting hurt. So it's always such a worrisome time that you're going to get a random, tweet notification that someone's hurt. It's just obviously training camp is such a fun time, but at the same time, you just are so worried and that people just cannot stay healthy, because the Ravens have had that problem in the past as well. So hopefully everyone will be good. DeAndre Hopkins, they said it'll be okay. They held him out of practice today because of caution reasons. And again, if there's anyone that you can hold out of practice, it is DeAndre Hopkins. He's been doing this for a long, long time. So not too worried about that. There's no reason for me to be worried about that. Also, Kyle Van Noy had a press conference today. He said, I'm just trying to get better. This will be my third season here, and I'm comfortable. We got off to a hot start this year, and keep that momentum. It starts now. So, again, he's talking about getting off to a hot start this year, because if you look back to last season, the Ravens started off last year 0-2. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1, and then they went out and lost to the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 2. So they started off the season 0-2. Obviously, they turned it around very quickly in that third week against the Cowboys, and then they were just rolling the rest of the way. But they do got to get out to a hot start. It's always good to start well than to end well, at least in standings perspective. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, the Ravens got to get out to a hot start, which was obviously winning Week 1 against the Buffalo Bills, the team that eliminated the Ravens in the playoffs last year, in a very, very heartbreaking game. A lot of players in the Ravens will be playing with a chip on their shoulder, more so including Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson, playing with a big chip on their shoulder, trying to win, obviously, Week 1, and just moving week by week, one game at a time, moving on throughout the year. Because, again, everyone starts 0-0, and you just got to go out there and do what you can to get some wins. And Kyle Van Noy is also talking about how he's been one of the better pass rushers in the NFL over the past 2 years, which is true. He's been top 10 in multiple pass rushing stats. He was incredible last year for the Ravens. He is getting older, but hopefully he can keep that veteran mentality and just keep doing well like he's been over the past couple of years. Then we got the first Jair Alexander press conference. He said his first impression on Baltimore, he said, I'm in love. Says he knows he's in the right place. And then Jair also said that he has nothing but love and appreciation for Green Bay, but he's embracing the new opportunity. He said he loved the fans, loved the food, loved the team. He loved the mentality that this Ravens team is bringing, and he also understands that this team really could win a Super Bowl and are right there. They've been right there for so many years now, and Jair Alexander just might be the missing piece in that puzzle. And again, Jair Alexander, it's still crazy that he's a Raven, but it's good to see that he likes being here. It's good to see that he's having fun here, and we'll talk about something in just a second. But another thing that Kyle Van Noy was also saying was how, he understands that this team on paper is extremely good. He understands that on paper we're, a top 2 team in the NFL and arguably the best team in the NFL on paper. but he says none of that matters as if we don't play together, which is kind of what I've been saying a lot as well, where this team can be good. This team can be built extremely well, but they still have to go out there and execute it at the end of the day. Just because you have a good team does not mean that you're guaranteed to get wins. You still got to go out there, execute the game plan, and just do what you need to do to win. And that's all that they need to worry about doing, especially in the playoffs. And something else that I saw that was really interesting was how the Ravens players have kind of reestablished the Breakfast Club, which is a small group of players that gets together at 6 a.m. for a workout. This was a tradition set by former Ravens safety Eric Weddle. Shout out Eric Weddle, Ravens legend. Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander, Zay Flowers, and Rashad Bateman have been a part of it. So, again, it's just another way for teammates to bond. Everyone getting up at 6 a.m., everyone doing their thing, and everyone just being together at 6 a.m., getting a workout in. And again, it's a tradition that's been set for a long time for throughout Ravens culture, and it's really cool to see the current players go out there and doing it still. And then one more thing about Jair Alexander. He basically said after arriving in Baltimore, he had some uncertainty. He basically had some uncertainty about his next move. And he said the vibes don't lie. He said, he didn't really know where he wanted to go, but Baltimore, it was kind of written in the stars, kind of. And it's cool to see Jair here. And I could not be more excited for this Ravens season. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow up on Spotify. And if you want more content, make sure to follow up on the Twitter, follow up on the Instagram. On Instagram, I'm posting updates every single day on whenever I post an episode. And then also on Twitter, I'm live tweeting stuff, live tweeting throughout the games, live reactions to certain things. So make sure to give that a follow as well. The Twitter is a lot of fun, so make sure to give that a follow. And yeah. Very eventful day, obviously day 2 of Ravens training camp. Some things happened, some fun, little interesting things. Lamar Jackson Malachi Stark's interception on Lamar. Some cool little things happened on 11 on 11. Some cool little quotes said on the press conference, and obviously also the Orioles getting back in the win column, getting a win, and then moving on to this weekend series against Colorado. So I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow at night talking about that Orioles and Rockies game. Hopefully the Orioles can, hopefully the Orioles can get a win, get on track, and get a win in that game, and move forward from there. So see you guys tomorrow. You have a great rest of y'all's day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.